This is the terrible Dear Dracula movie.
I am Count Dracula!
We're back to the old cheap, low-budget tier of home video movies today. And it's been a while. And this right here is very much the Goodfellas of terrible Halloween movies. And maybe that's appropriate to say, as this movie legitimately stars the late Ray Liotta from Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. Or of course, if you're like me, you'll know him from his notorious role in B-Movie. Now this was produced by Arc Entertainment, who very much have sat in that tier for most of their movies. Their most successful being Animals United, which we may need to look at some point.
Crikeys!
Never mind.
But they haven't produced anything since 2022, so I'm not really sure if they're around anymore. Which is kind of a shame. Clearly their movies are of a certain market, but we do hate to see people, lose their jobs. Anyway, potentially in the company's memory, we'll have a look at their stab at a Halloween movie, which was a collaboration with Kickstar Productions / Entertainment. They had a bit of a better run after this. They'd go on to be one of the companies behind The Boys, apparently. Wow. So yeah, I guess things got better for them after this. But this was one of their earlier productions, ultimately ending up as a TV movie for Cartoon Network. At that time in full Adventure Time and regular show era. So yeah, can you imagine watching those two and then this monstrosity legitimately showing up on Cartoon Network? What a world. And just to put in some context around animation trends at this time, this came out in 2012, the same year as the original Hotel Transylvania.
Blah, blah, blah. I do not say blah, blah, blah.
What a stark difference. Which, whilst the plot's completely different, that may actually explain some of the visual similarities. But believe it or not, this was actually based on a 2008 graphic novel of the same name, and the rights have been circling the industry since 2009. Ending up with this movie. So we begin with a title sequence with this spider, seemingly the Scrat to Dear Dracula's Ice Age. Okay. The spider shivers at the screams, but it's just a kid and his grandma watching horror movies, with an exchange that very much sets the tone for this thing.
Whoa, didn't see that coming.
Me neither.
Yeah, in 10 seconds already, we get both the animation and the voice acting we're in for, distilled and showcased. It's giving nothing. The pause of the boy being completely static in front of the TV being a real highlight. Ugh. Also, listen to what's playing on that TV again. I'm pretty sure they've got like that classic stock meme sound effect scream in there. Listen to this. What, were they watching Minecraft movie Iron Golem edits?
Zero limits.
That's what I associate the scream with now. Cinema, really. And if you think this movie's ever going to address why this child's living with his grandma and how his past may have been impacted from the more isolated traits we saw of this character as we go on, no, it never does. Just a boy and his grandma. You don't need an explanation. And this jerkily animated child is in for a treat with this movie, as it's clear from the get-go that he's a die-hard Dracula fan, as displayed through this commercial for a Dracula action figure.
Hypnotic spinning eyes, spring-loaded fangs, oh, I gotta have that.
Hey, to be fair, it's a pretty cool looking toy, but it makes me wonder about the world of this movie, considering Dracula's clearly a pre-established known personality. Though if that is a real person, then they're kind of merchandising a serial killer, so we'll see where this goes. Particularly as, through the course of this movie, they make a point that the kids think Dracula's lame, so kind of weird that he has a successful toy line on top of that, Still, this kid's so excited he makes a weird suckling noise as he puts his fangs on.
I gotta have that.
All part of his pitch to get his nan to get said doll. Though he gets to the case of the old male insecurity when it comes to calling it a doll.
Doll? Oh, it's not a doll, it's the greatest, most scariest action figure.
Fun fact, the word action figure actually legitimately originates from Hasbro not wanting boys to look at the original G.I. Joe as a male Barbie. There's not a great deal of trivia in regards to this movie's production, so I guess expect more random comments like that instead to fill it up.
Yes.
This movie is only 45 minutes long, by the way. Though what I can tell you is that this was directed by Chad Van Die Kier, whose notable credits include Madagascar's straight-to-home video sequels, as well as other all-time classics such as Abominable Christmas and the Super Kitties TV series. I mean, fair play to him. It's a living, and we can't fault him for that. Back to the movie, and it's a no from Nan.
What do you think, I'm made of money?
Telling him instead to write to Santa for this doll.
Action figure.
Of course, action figure.
Back to the Scratch Spider character for more unrelated slapstick hijinks.
Hey, Weber.
Oh, wait, no. He's the boy's pet. And through a little grunt from this pet spider, we get to the one premise this movie is actually standing on.
But Halloween is just around the corner.
As instead of writing to Santa, the boy writes directly the famous bloodsucker himself. Though you won't be seeing any mention of this core vampire trait in this kid's movie. Honestly, I can see why a graphic novel with this premise gets picked up for a movie idea, though here it's already deviating from the original novel, as in this version, Sam just wants a toy Dracula. In the graphic novel by Joshua Williamson, the guy writes to Dracula in order to be a real vampire, presumably through the full bitey conversion, which is just a place you can probably already tell this movie didn't want to go. It's a cool idea, though I still prefer the premise of that Jack Black movie where the kid misspelt Santa as Satan, you know?
I'm way better than Santa. Ho, ho, frickin' ho!
Was that actually any good, by the way? I haven't seen it. Anyway, back to this movie that I'm clearly really engaged with right now.
I am your biggest fan.
Whoa, I did not expect the title to just slam in there like that. With all the charms of Microsoft's word art. Yeah, that's a throwback for you. I guess that's all we need to know from this kid before writing the letter. No backstory, watches a Dracula toy commercial with his grandma, gets impatient when she says to ask Santa for it, starts writing a letter to Dracula. I don't know about you, but even in a kid's movie, I'm used to at least a bit more investment in your lead character than he likes Dracula. He wants toy. You know? We then cut to a delivery man going up to Dracula's castle, presumably with that same letter. We are one track line in this movie. There's no B-plot. With more animation that comes right out of a PlayStation 0.5.
Mommy.
And here's an underwhelming reveal for you. This mailman, that's Matthew Lillard. Yes, that's real. From Scooby-Doo to the FNAF movies, who knew that the midpoint in his spooky season portfolio was gonna be Dear Dracula? Huh. I mean, considering he took up the voice acting mantle as Shaggy around the same time as this, clearly he was just blasting out the voice acting work. And that's all he got from this gig.
Mommy.
Was it worth it? I don't think so. Meanwhile, Dracula's doing his thing, traumatizing his house servant with equally limited animation. You know, it's quite impressive to have a vocal performance that sounds inherently insincere, yet the animation still fails to match the performer's energy. I gotta love that. Voiced by Ray Liotta, who very much is in here for a paycheck by the sounds of it. And after traumatizing the guy who's only trying to clean his house, we get into Dracula's problem.
Nobody's scared of Count Dracula anymore.
I mean, the mailman's just scared of coming to the castle, and the guy who's evidently dealt with your nonsense for years is still scared by it, so I don't really know about that one. But for context, the graphic novel at least released at the height of Twilight Mania, the first movie also coming out in 2008. So if this is a sentiment from the graphic novel, you could see how this was likely some commentary on vampires losing their horror appeal in becoming more mushy and Vampire Diary romantic figures instead. Because there's nothing more romantic than old undead vampires seeking out relationships with teenagers. And I guess the alternative is human men, so maybe it makes sense.
There was a time when everyone would shudder when my name was spoken.
I also love that there's clearly an attempt at the Dracula accent here, yet old Ray can't help but slip back into his natural accent. So what you get is essentially a Dracula that sounds like a gangster from Goodfellas. And the group that don't find Dracula scary is none other than that old chestnut that is the kids of today. Dracula has a Gen Z problem. Well, considering the 2012 release, you'd think so anyway. But Drac's take here seems a bit out of date.
The young ones are more afraid of faceless goons with chainsaws.
I mean, it's true that the craze overtook the classic monsters back in 1976, when Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, right? Was there a remake in that time? We were already deep in the era of The Ring, Saw, and Final Destination by this point, and Conjuring just a year away from this movie. So I don't know what Dracula's talking about. Capped off with a random comment that just feels thrown in there.
I never really found the mummy all that scary.
Fair enough. Thanks for letting us know. This also feels like a case where the voice performance is trying so hard to pull off the accent that anything else like comedic timing, just completely out the window. The sentences are all so weirdly drawn out that any joke delivery is just completely butchered. But to be fair, when the jokes are just Dracula saying the mummy wasn't that scary, maybe there wasn't much to work with. Like, eat your heart out, Brendan Fraser. Ark Entertainment's Dear Dracula is coming after you. Anyway, it's time for Matthew Lillard's mailman to finally get to the castle.
I'm going to scare him good.
And so our MVP arrives with a vocal performance that sounds completely different to Shaggy in every way.
Easy, Gus, easy. You can do this.
To be fair, they have evidently just made this character Shaggy with a different skin. So what was Matthew Lillard really to do? Very little, it turns out, as...
The delivery for...
Spit that shit out, man!
And off he goes. That is his contribution to this picture. And on to the letter.
My name is Sam, and I am your biggest fan.
That is the only sentence he actually gets to say out loud in this movie, so that they can indulge in a joke from his assistant asking whether his fan is big, as in a giant, along with taking 100 years to fall off of a chair. I mean, hey, I guess vampires are pretty old, so maybe it lines up. Their time scale. Maybe to a vampire, this is actually a well-timed joke. Is that the problem with this movie? The line deliveries are just built for if you're already 100 years old and time flies by. It's just the kind of underwhelming slapstick you come to expect from limited, ugly animation like this. And this entire scene just comes off like you're watching a double act with no chemistry and bad jokes bombing on stage. It's honestly quite impressive. I'm almost nostalgic.
Pack your bags.
Please don't fire me.
And so, with one more terrible joke, the two of them head off to meet Sam in America. Meanwhile, Sam prepares for the spooky season by making the choice of sticking a gravestone outside his grandma's house. What a sensitive child. And after a chat where he seemingly understands what the spider says,
Yeah, you're right. I think it needs a spider web.
we have the obligatory group of bullies appearance. The most demented group of side characters in the whole movie, featuring an absolute highlight for me, that being having two of the exact same character design in a group of 4. Yeah, they're twins, it counts. What a great way to cut corners.
And he's talking to his pet spider.
Again.
God, that guy really went for that again, like he had it lined up on the backbench all day. Not to worry though, the Mary Jane Watson coded character who still hangs out with the douchebags is here to completely be static for a second. Before...
Cut it out, Nicole.
Oh my god, the blocking is so awkward in this as well. Somehow, it's more cursed than any of the Dracula bits that were meant to be scary. She invites Sam to her Halloween party whilst the bully friends just stand completely still like their souls have just left them.
I'm having a Halloween party at my house tonight. I hope you can make it.
I told Grams I'd help her with the trick-or-treaters.
Whilst apparently digging her grave outside. Followed by a conversation that seems like it was initially scripted to be said whilst they walked away, but seems as they don't have a budget for them to actually walk and talk at the same time. They just have it out in front of Sam whilst he just stands there and takes it.
What are you doing talking to the bug whisperer?
That dude's beyond creepy.
I'm standing right here.
Sure, it makes these characters even more unlikable, but it just looks so weird. Capped off with a condescending compliment that all high school love interest archetypes said about the clearly neuro-spicy main character.
He's different.
What the f*** is this?
Wow, I'm sure he felt great about that one.
You're welcome.
And predictably enough, the bully characters get scared off by the spider, and one of the twins... getting her head stuck in a pumpkin. Yeah, that old comedy switcheroo.
That was awesome, little guy. She totally deserved it.
Girl playing both sides, I guess. Recognizes her friends are bullies, yet doesn't have the fortitude to not hang out with them. I won't blame the movie for it. It's just copying a trope from every high school movie. What's a lazy phone-in animation to do?
Tell Sam he should come to my party, okay?
Luckily for Sam, both the spider and his nan fully know all the context of what's happened so far.
Are you going to Emma's Halloween party tonight?
She's just omnipresent, I guess. But hey, I guess a character having their grandma and pet spider acting as his wingmen is at least an original take this movie has, as is the Dear Dracula premise it's clinging on to justify its existence. So we better bring him and his unfunny sidekick back into the picture, eh?
Take me up to the front door so I can make a grand entrance.
Presentation!
Again, the intonations on this Dracula performance are just so strange. He says grand like he's just made a pun. Yeah, there's no pun there.
Grand entrance.
We are very much in the voice actor received absolutely no direction in the booth area of the movie. Anyway, if the gravestone her grandson placed in her garden wasn't enough, there's some more graveside trauma for Grandma to perceive.
Oh my.
We then have a bit where she goes from thinking this guy she watches levitate from a coffin is a trick-or-treater to a salesperson, with a sequence that escalates very quickly.
I am Count.
Well, whatever you're selling, I'm not buying.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Christ, lady! Like, I know door-knocking salespeople are the absolute worst, but I'm pretty sure that's assault, even if it is on your property. The old guy from Up got a court order for a retirement home for less than that. Oh, and just a reminder that, Up is over 3 years older than this movie, before you try and forgive this dated animation. Again, this was clearly low budget, but it just makes me laugh when any post-2010 animation makes Toy Story 1 look like Toy Story 4. Toy Story 3 had already come out at this point.
Calm down, Granny, calm down.
Hey there, thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Do subscribe if you're interested in more terrible movies, or Halloween ones, which we're doing this entire month. Otherwise, let's get back to the second half now. Cheers.
Calm down, Granny, calm down.
Sam is presumably just sat on the sofa in the other room, completely oblivious that his nan's gone in for a fight. And it doesn't end there. She brings out plates and a broom as well. Thankfully, Dracula has the hypnotic means to neutralize this violent banshee.
You are under my spell.
Under your spell.
And wastes no time in greeting his intended audience with the greatest hits, complete with a close-up of his bat form so we can really get a good look at this primitive animation.
I am Count Dracula!
What a king. He flaunted his worth entering that room, and then he sucked his blood and the movie ends there. Only kidding, of course. That sound of the whole vampire gig may as well not be mentioned in this movie. Like many family movie vampires, he's much more concerned with being scary than the thing he actually needs to survive. May as well work for Monsters Inc., this guy. I also like that they specifically make a comment of not letting him be burnt in the sun, only to immediately not move the coffin out of at least a little sunbeam on his head.
The sunlight.
Like, he's clearly in the sun when he's out the coffin. He should lose his hair the moment the lid comes off, let's be honest.
I know you wanted a toy doll, but I brought something better. The real Dracula.
So in this universe, Dracula is a real entity, yet people make toys of him? Is he getting royalties from that? Presumably, seems as Sam's such a big fan of his, there are movies made about the real guy, and that's what the toys are connected to? Do we have Jeffrey Dahmer merch in real life? Maybe it's best that I don't overthink the commercial licensing infrastructure on this low-budget kids movie. And when I say low budget, look at the complete absent eye contact going on in this sequence.
Hey, Myro. Welcome.
Thank you, Master Sam.
I don't even think budget can excuse that kind of goof. There's a lot of shots here where the characters are meant to be looking at each other, but they're completely looking through the other character. It's really something. We just have this minute of the characters stood around introducing each other, Spider included, before completely oblivious to his grandma's spinning eyes, though to be fair, we can clearly see that none of the characters make eye contact in this movie. Sam suggests they do a horror movie marathon. Imagine that. Your childhood hero has just arrived and you go, let's do nothing, sat next to him on a sofa for 4 hours.
Soda?
Ah, Sam. A kid of simple pleasures.
A few moments later.
Of course, the soda being an opportunity for this kids movie to do a kids movie thing. And if you think they just watch a movie for a bit and then something else happens, think again. They fade to a time jump where it's gone dark outside and Dracula looks bored out of his mind.
That was rubbish. Absolute hogwash.
Look how furious that guy looks, arms folded and everything. Bear in mind, In the original graphic novel, Sam writes to Dracula to be a real vampire. Movie version? Nah, invite him round, chuck on the TV. And back to that Twilight commentary I mentioned earlier.
Vampires aren't pretty boys that sparkle in the sun.
Kinda weird watching something that looks like a 1990s TV special, talking about a movie from 2008.
I know what you are.
Say it.
To be fair, if that's Sam's taste in movies, I'm starting to wonder if there's anything else to his obsession with Dracula. And I'm not pulling that out of thin air either. I mean, as he puts what is clearly a reference to Sauron, he goes for first base. Well, that was awkward. Also, just confirmation though, that up to this point, Sam fully intended to use his time with Dracula to just plow through his favorite horror movies. This kid just operates differently. Tired of Sam boring him out of his mind, Dracula naturally runs off to hide in a trash can. We get 10 seconds of Sam and the henchmen looking for him, a beat that comes and goes pretty unceremoniously. Storytelling. Plot.
Sam, what does Halloween mean to you?
Well, I mean, apparently summoning his favorite supernatural characters before making them do a marathon of Twilight and Saw movies and flinging his arm around them. Underwhelmed by this bland child, Dracula resorts to doing what he does best in eating people's
Candy corn, my favorite.
Oh, okay, that's something new to add to the vampire lore. Before proceeding to just walk around pointing at kids' costumes. I say kids, it's the strangest collection of animated kids I've ever seen.
Poodle dressed as ballerina is ridiculous.
All in aid of the overarching story that kids aren't scared of vampires anymore. And to be fair, if he's now eating candy corn over drinking people's blood and unaliving them in the process, then I guess he really is just a pale guy with long teeth. All I'm saying is, if he cut the crap and just murdered some fools, he'd probably be getting a lot more respect right now. Instead, he's jumping in front of kids and doing his best Adam Sandler impression. Which, considering the Hotel Transylvania parallels, it just brings it all full circle, doesn't it?
I do not say blah blah blah.
Followed by more circling of the same premise. The guy just isn't scary anymore. Have we covered that point yet? Which he laments with a very convincing noise.
I'm yesterday's ghoul.
Anyway, time for the real horror of this movie to return, otherwise known as Emma's character design.
Hey, Sam.
I mean, traditionally, animators distinguish between male and female characters with tired stereotypes like eyelashes, which we can, of course, move from. But here, nah, screw it. The boys have tiny pupils, the girls have massive Powerpuff Girl pupils that look like they're coming off something. No one will notice. Completely unbothered by the vampire behind him because the story calls for it, she goes for the same weirdly animated arm technique Sam tried to pull on the count earlier.
Maybe you can hypnotize Sam and command him to come to my party.
Before walking away like a soulless avatar. Wanting to impress the soulless avatar, like all poorly written male protagonists with a love interest do, Sam makes a pact to help Dracula be scary again, and in exchange he will...
And I'll help you show people what Sam is all about.
So presumably, just convincing everyone to sit around on his sofa, watching movies all evening with very little conversation involved. Taking us to this drill sergeant sequence montage, which is executed as awkwardly as you may expect.
Vanish! And appear!
Only thing that could make this worse is maybe if the henchman decided to act like a cheerleader or something.
Go, master! Go, master! Go, 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 master!
Oh, worked for our boy Dracula though.
I'm a lean, mean monster machine!
Sure thing, buddy. I also love how amongst this montage sequence, there's briefly a very short shot of Dracula completely unanimated. And I don't just mean he's static, I mean he's literally A-posing. The camera's behind him, and though it's a very short moment, you can see he's just planted in the middle of the scene. Ah, brilliant. I love when the animation doesn't animate. Also, have we mentioned the skeleton arm transitions yet? That's apparently a thing. It's jarring every time it happens, and I think it brings the black bars along with it or something. Anyway, now that the montage has succeeded, we're now followed by a reminder that this is a kids movie that's banned from showing any kind of romance.
And you're going to show Emma that you're worthy of her friendship.
Ah yes, the old Mario and Peach special. And I mean, I guess I get it. You know, you don't always have to spell out the love word when it's already clear. It's a bit like how you don't have to have the character say their own character description directly to the viewer.
Well, I'm a little odd, I suppose. You know, like, misunderstood.
Ah, okay. never mind. You never know, there's maybe an opportunity to get to know Sam more. You know what? No, it's fine. It's just a bad movie's ploy for empathy. It's not like they're just reading the baseline information we already have.
I'm a monster movie geek.
I think the fact that he lives with his grandma instead of his parents may explain his sense of being an outsider, and I do wonder if that comes up in the book. You can see how him wanting to be a vampire could link to themes of wanting to be someone else, but obviously those themes are far too deep for what we've actually got here. I'm just presuming this lame cartoon's miles away from the book at this point. Alas, instead of any of that nonsense, we've got this neutered version of Dracula giving him a pep talk to be friends with a girl. But not his girlfriend. A very important distinction. This is Cartoon Network, for goodness sake. And considering the limited meat on the bones we have of this character's personality, his big moment of embracing who he is sounds like,
I'm a classic horror movie aficionado.
Yeah, that'll do. Better have a brief moment with the henchman and Spider to balance things out.
Thank you, my little friend.
Cool. Can we get the main characters back in now? As it seems as we're so far away from the original novel, may as well go for gold and not even dress him like a vampire next.
Doesn't Sam look like a real ghoul?
The cop-out of Halloween costumes. Zombie? Ghost? Mummy? Doesn't matter. Just say ghoul. And I love that presumably there must have been a canonical makeup scene with Dracula that they just completely skipped over. What a waste. And the spiders somehow made a web decoration that lights up, because of course he did. In a world with a canonical monster in it, and I'm surprised by the LED spider webbing.
You take good care of Grams while we're at the party, okay?
Just to say, as a European, every time he's calling his grandma Grams, I just think he's talking about the metric measurement for weight. Does anyone actually call their grandma grams? It's the first time I'm hearing it. Anyway, Dracula tries out his reclaimed scaring abilities on this new group of kids, including this girl in a fairy costume who just looks like a giant walking big toe. And again, this may be low budget, but it just has that air of the ugly CG animation that circulated TV, especially in the 2000s. I'm talking kind of fanboy and chum-chum levels of animation, you know? I mean, some of the character design really seems like it's pulled right out of that show, which had its run on Nickelodeon not too long before this, infamously being the show they commissioned over Adventure Time. I guess Cartoon Network's takeaway from that was, we're missing that terrible chum-chum animation style, so let's do a movie with that style instead. And it wouldn't be a poorly animated movie with at least one point where the main character attempts
the comedy dance.
Oh boy, look at him go, whilst the three kids just stand there completely static whilst in close proximity. And his sign-off to Sam is just as smooth as that, once again reminding you that Ray Liotta had no idea what was going on.
Wish me luck.
You won't need it, good fella.
Just rolled off the tongue for him, that one. Leaving Sam to prep himself by standing by a tree and staring.
Whoa, cool costume, Emma.
Meanwhile, there's this weird nugget of information from those twins from earlier.
Wicked costume, Em. Not exactly what we all agreed to, though.
I guess the point is that she dressed up for Sam? But of course, Sam can't go in.
Real good, Sam. Way to sink your fangs in.
See what he did there? Thankfully, Dracula's also on hand to help our guy out a little more. You know, it's surface level stuff.
You're coming with me.
Meanwhile, the jerk character from earlier is also in the business of being friends.
Cool costume.
Look at that. He's even got the just a friend eyebrows going. Better get the dialogue referee on the case.
She wants to be your friend, sir.
There we go. No one will notice. Everyone knows that classic core memory of asking the girl at the party to be your friend.
But she's with that Kirk guy.
What's the problem, buddy? If it's only a matter of friends we're talking about here, she can have more than one. Thankfully, in this epic final fight for the friend zone, Dracula's on hand to dispatch the rival Bachelor of Friendship on the scene. Cue a golden opportunity for some comedy hijinks.
Oh, Transylvania. I hear they've got a good football team.
Always a good sign when they have a little jingle in the score just to point out a joke's just happened.
I hear they've got a good football team.
It's like the movie version of a laughter track. This is also yet another opportunity to take another dig at Twilight as well while we're at it.
You look like a pretty boy with a bad set of false teeth.
We love to see a centuries-year-old undead adult call a child a pretty boy. In his defense, that is very Twilight. Doesn't help that he then immediately hypnotizes him as well.
I want you to dance around and cluck like a chicken.
I will so dance around and cluck like a chicken.
Emphasis on totally for this empty stereotype of an American teenager. Meanwhile, the twins are on hand to stop everyone's favorite classic horror movie aficionado getting the girl. friend, I mean. Well, the twins are on hand, but their hair fringes are a little bit, going off on one, shall we say.
Emma doesn't need to be creeped out by you weirdo.
Not that it matters in this paper thin movie, but they literally saw the damn girl approach him and invite him, but hey, I'm not the twins who were likely only duplicated to save money. Thankfully, the same spider gag from before that defeated them earlier is waiting in the wings. To the extent that, again, is literally in the line.
Tarantula!
And to be fair, they pulled the same move in Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget, so I can't totally dump on this movie, I guess, with 1/10 of the budget. And so finally Sam reaches the other side of the room, thrilling.
Hi, Emma.
Sam? Is that you?
As they continue to go rogue with Emma's arm movements.
Wow, great costume.
What do you mean? Totally normal way to move their arms.
It looks like we both had the same idea.
What idea? To dress up spooky on Halloween? Ah, whatever.
Emma, I wanted to say thank you for inviting me to your party.
Nice.
Okay. Finishing their awkward friend bonding conversation, she takes Sam to the dance floor. And some interesting takes along the way.
Most people think it's weird for a girl to like horror films.
As if it wasn't already clear enough that a bunch of dudes wrote this. What a bold statement to just throw in there. And they don't address it anymore. Likewise for Sam to just chuck this in.
And it doesn't bother you that my best friend's a spider?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't advertise it like that. People have pets, tarantulas, it's fine. But of course, now friend Emma's totally down for it.
I'm kidding, I think spiders rock.
It was a thing called a thing, and I wanted to sing.
God, it's like she was literally written to just be his other half. And Sam looks to his literal wingman, who's currently hanging from the disco ball. That's quite nice, you know, a hint of direction. But before we can wrap up, because we've basically hit the finale, as with all these movies, it's time to hear from what I'll call our interesting character design of the movie.
It's time to announce our winners for Best Costume.
Yep, it looks like it's a white guy in a Jamaican costume. We couldn't finish a terrible movie without a moment like that popping up, of course. But before he gets cancelled, he announces that, what do you know, Dracula is the winner for spookiest costume.
Old school vampire.
Count Dracula, that's who.
Which he celebrates via more weird Ray Liotta line delivery.
I must make a grand entrance.
Which he does by doing the same line he's repeated over and over, which also just happens to be the thing that everyone says when attempting a Dracula impression.
I am Count Dracula!
Good for you, my guy.
Count Dracula. I taught him everything he knows.
What, his name? It's time to say goodbye now, and with it, the beginnings of Universal's Dark Universe.
Master's been invited to Frankenstein's.
Wow, all because he won for his costume at a kid's party. Forget the historical, monstrous serial killer with his own merchandising line. No, it's because kid party. And with one final cuddle and unhypnotizing grammar with some typical elderly dialogue.
Oh my, where am I? What's going on?
Presumably, she just thought she had a stroke for the entire day, since she's literally blipped to the end of it. Sam makes his final pitch.
Can Emma come over tomorrow and watch the rest of the monster movie marathon with us?
The rest of? From Emma's perspective, you've not done any of it. You're gonna show her the second half of a Saw movie? Is that a good time? I don't think it is. And just like that, that is where the movie ends. Remember how at the beginning of this movie, we were going into this whole, the kid wants a toy Dracula thing? That doesn't appear anymore. He doesn't get a toy in any form at the end. I guess because he had the real thing that flew off into the night. There you go. Your classic, bona fide, terrible movie for the spooky season. And as I went to look up even more of the voice cast, not only do you have icon Matthew Lillard and person Ray Liotta, you've also got a couple other notable voice actors in the mix, with the likes of Tara Strong, of course, popping up. You can recognize her pretty simply, as well as Troy Baker as well, Mr. Video Game protagonist in practically everything at the time. Also did this in the middle of their careers. What a strange, weirdly high-platformed but terribly put-together movie. A memory for everyone, but maybe nobody's highlight. And now you too have seen it for yourself. You're very welcome. Again, I'm kind of intrigued by this graphic novel now to see how different the vibe was. From all accounts, it does still seem though like a very young-leaning one with a more kid-friendly vibe. But I'm sure it at least had more substance than this pile of rubbish, and I'm sure the author was less than thrilled with this being the result. Crazy anyway that it still managed to be platformed into a program as high as Cartoon Network. Can't believe this was broadcast at the same time as a relative golden era. But anyway, that was the terrible, Dear Dracula movie. And for now, I'd best end it off there. My name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this terrible episode. Do let me know your thoughts and observations of this god-awful low-budget movie. I really got to get back into the low-budget category these episodes bring. But otherwise, I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!